talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Today we are on Verdict Watch for the Tracey Grist case. This case has had so many ups and downs. I was so surprised that she decided to testify. As Kathy would say, she could have said less. Her lawyer wanted her to say less. If you are brand new to this case, please check out the description. There is an overview of this case down in the description. I do hope that I don't have any freezing today. I actually reached out to my internet company earlier today, and they're going to be sending me a new router and a new Wi-Fi extender. I am directly connected to the internet. Let me go on ahead and make that connection stronger. Hopefully, I'm not going to touch anything. Let me know in the chat if I start freezing. I will try to troubleshoot as best I can, but the internet that we are paying for, it is not coming to my computer. So we are working through that with our internet provider. Good. I'm glad so far, so good. Earlier in the week, I think Tuesday, there was a lot of freezing. There was a lot going on. So I did want to talk about Tracy's testimony. So it was Monday. On Monday, the state called their final witness. They called one of Tracy's other adult sons, and he testified about his relationship with his mom. Let me pull up my notes. I don't even know that I really took that many notes about his testimony, but I really think she wanted to tell her side of the story. And I think she probably didn't like not being in control. I don't think she liked and maybe she thought Donna was convicted because Donna didn't tell her side of the story, when really, I think if Mama Donna had testified, so Donna Adelson, this was a case that Tracy admits that she's a true crime fan. Even her lawyer didn't think that she crimed very well. And we will get to closing arguments a little bit later. And this is the live court feed going right here. So if there's any movement, we will go straight to live verdict. But y'all know me and names. His name could have been Tim. Y'all could make up a name. I know it wasn't Kevin. Kevin's incarcerated for the crime, but it was her other son. I'm really bad with names. Um, all right. Yes. He kind of seemed like the Rob of the family. I don't know that he was. He called himself the peacemaker, and that he just kind of wanted things to just be okay. And he felt that some people in the family were really emotional and not really logical. I thought he did a great job on the stand. I do not think that Tracy helped at all. If nothing else, like, she made it worse because her own lawyer seemed to get frustrated and irritated with the way she was answering questions. Now, I think they had probably talked about just answer the question I ask. Because at one point, her lawyer asked her, "Do you remember the question?" Her lawyer was kind of passive aggressive with her. Like, but I think her lawyer wanted to control it. So there were other lawyers that have had defendants like her that just let their client dig their own grave. Because to me, it seemed like he really didn't want her on the stand. You all let me know in the chat, do y'all think her lawyer wanted her to testify? Do you think her lawyer thought her testimony would help the case? Because and so y'all know I'm bad with names, but if I was a lawyer presenting a case, I would try to get the victim's name right. Like, I would maybe have some notes. Her poor lawyer. And anything he did, like, there was nothing that reached the level of ineffective assistance of counsel. Like, he didn't do anything that was like that bad, but it just seemed to not go very well. And You're right, Sarah Boone. Mr. Owens did get frustrated with Sarah, I think when Sarah was on the stand sometimes, but it seemed like this lawyer was frustrated with her the entire time. I think he likely felt her testimony would make would help the jury get to a guilty verdict. She didn't help because her story didn't make any sense. So let's break down a little bit of Tracy's testimony. So they start with June 20th, 2024, and I guess that's when Kate came to the home with her children, and Tracy had the nerve to say that she thought they were only going to be there for 1 to 3 weeks, that she wasn't clear how long. I don't know that Tracy planned for Kate to ever go back to California. So when Kate came to Utah, I don't know that Tracy ever wanted her to go back. And they researched divorce. I don't think they liked the results that they got. And that's where here we talk about don't do crimes. These children were in the home when their uncle shot and killed their dad. Like that is just a trauma that is just very, very difficult. And Kate, she admits she knew that was the plan and she allowed that to happen. She did. And and so Tracy says that she tried to offer Kate a safe space to think things through, and that Tara Lynn was the one that created the text for Kate to send to Matt, but Tara Lynn sent it to Tracy to confirm, is this okay? So I have seen Tara Lynn in the comments over on Trial 2 Live. So Trial, the number 2 Live. Thank you to the psych nerd that commented that she was over in the chat. And so I had Recovery Addict in one screen, and then I was watching the chat on the other screen. And it sounds like Tara Lynn thinks that her mother should be found guilty. Like that's what it seemed like based on the comments. And I still don't think that the family really likes Matt. And they still talk a lot about the victims, about his behavior. When if I'm concerned with somebody's drinking to the point that I don't think they should have they should be around my nieces or nephews. There are other ways to address that than plotting this major plan. And I don't think that Tara Lynn knew about the plan. I don't think Rachel knew about the plan. I think they played small parts, and so that's where the state describes Tracy as the like the center, that she was the mastermind, and then her children were the spokes. They were the ones that kind of did all the work. Oh wow, somebody mentioned that Tara Lynn is also commenting on Reddit saying that she's hoping for guilty. Yeah, and I think Tara Lynn, she might end up doing a interview with someone. Not sure if she will. I really didn't engage with her in the chat because it just seemed like this was an emotionally heavy case. Any question viewers asked, she was answering questions, some of them. Like she was answering some people's questions. She was very active. I know I'm not someone else's psychologist, but I like to have certain conversations offline than to have it publicly online. So any communication I've had with a family member that was involved with the case or with a juror or anything like that, I try to do that off camera, off screen. I'm like, "Hey, message me. My email is in my bio," and we try to have the conversation that way. She might. So it seems like she's really open to doing interviews, and Kathy has hosted some phenomenal interviews. So I am a psychologist. I'm not their psychologist, and so that's where before I agree to do an interview with someone, I just want to make sure that they have their counseling, that it doesn't turn into because I think there's some parts that aren't helpful. Because if I hosted an interview, I would want it to be from the perspective of what would you have done different? What were some of the red flags? what do you hope people learn or get from this? So I would just take it from a different perspective versus sometimes in true crime we have the victims' families just kind of say everything. And as a therapist, and I'm not their therapist, but as a therapist, I want to be careful about the person's mental health because this is her mother. Like, this will forever be her mother, the person that she loves and cares about, and there are a lot of emotions, there's a lot that goes along with that, and so that's why I try to host conversations that talk about, what we can get from this, so that in some way it can hopefully be helpful. That's my goal. Now other channels, Kathy, she's gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and she's here for all the tea. If Tara Lynn did an interview, I would watch it. So I would watch the interview. I personally would be careful about hosting it because as a mental health professional, and if I did ever interview a family member, I do it. I don't do it live. So I would do it as a pre-recorded interview where I often send it to them first to say, "Hey, take a look at it. If there's anything you said that you regret or anything, I can take it out." Like that's just the way that I handle things here. Okay. So back to Tara Lynn, or back to Tracy's testimony. Y'all know I'm bad with names. So Tracy is the defendant in this case. Kate is her adult daughter. She was the wife of the defendant. And so they talked about the fact that Kate and the kids were in Tracy's bedroom and she slept on an air mattress in the basement. Do y'all think she wanted sympathy for that? Like, some parts, I think she was trying to present herself as a good mom and a good grandmother, but I think she didn't have boundaries. And based on the state's evidence, it seems like things went too far, that she was trying to solve Kate's problems. And the state, during closing, they said, "Do y'all think Kate could have done this without Tracy?" And I don't think she would have. Because if y'all remember the hideous wet tortilla video. And if you go back to my last live video where I covered this case, I did pin the comment with the timestamp of the wet tortilla video if you would like to watch it. You don't have to. Trust me when I say it's really toxic to see Matt and Kate going back and forth at each other, and she is chopping angrily, and they are having this they're cursing back and forth at each other. He's getting close to her and she is chopping. She she didn't seem afraid of him, in my opinion, and he didn't seem afraid of her. Like that, her recording that whole thing, that just seemed super toxic, but it didn't. And the defense was the one that entered that video because I think they're trying to make the defendant seem like this big scary guy that's so horrible. And they're try to counterbalance because it breaks my heart to hear the phone calls of Matt when he's on his way to Utah. And Tracy's over here like, "I didn't know he was on it. Like, I didn't know exactly where she's over here trying to have amnesia, like she didn't know anything. And it doesn't seem like that would be true. It doesn't. It was staged badly. So it was staged and staged poorly. And you can tell what her priorities were because Tracy supposedly was the one that had the idea to put um blankets over her furniture so that her furniture wouldn't be damaged by the crime, and that's just ooh. I don't know if that will stick with the jury. That stuck in my mind. She talks about the Disneyland trip. She talks about her dispute with Matt before the trip, and they bring up. So Tracy's the one that brings up that Matt and Katie were arguing about a possible affair, and they also so Tracy goes into that she sent the text saying that she would strangle Matt, and she tries to explain it away that I was frustrated with him. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't support my daughter physically. So I just text, "I'll drive 9 hours and strangle you," because that was ridiculous. And that's where, ooh. She also texted him, "Don't mess with my child." There is a Netflix series right now, "Don't Mess with My Daughter." I haven't watched it. I don't know all the details of it, but it reminded me of that Netflix series. Okay. She starts answering questions in a way that I think she wants to answer. And once again, as she's testifying, I made the note that I think she wanted to testify. The whole conversation about her friend that was like sick and needed support in California, the person that they believe they got the knife from that was used in the crime, because Tracey was trying to distance herself from the knife. And but the knife came from her friend's home, and her way of explaining it, because I don't think she explained how she got that. I didn't understand that to be explained clearly. Um uh yeah. I haven't watched Matt's brother's impact statement yet. I will definitely go back and take a look at it. I did play clips of Kate's sentencing. The judge read her a new one. And so in my last video that I did covering this case, I did cover the judge's statement. Yes, yes, yes. Uh watch it on 2 times speed. If you want, I've never seen a lawyer get mad with their client. And I skipped over the fact right at the beginning of her testimony, her lawyer broke his glasses. And while he's trying to figure out what he's going to do about his glasses, she's like, "Can you get me my glasses too?" Like all of a sudden she needs a pair of glasses when he broke his glasses. Like it just, I don't like it. She wasn't reading the room, in my opinion. Like, there was no empathy for the fact that her lawyer needed his glasses to continue with the examination. Like, his glasses broke, and she's like, "Oh, yeah. Can you can you get my glasses too?" Oh, you can't make this stuff up. Um, if you like watching defendants crumble on she didn't so when I say crumble, I just mean her story is so implausible. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And but you could probably watch it on 2 times speed. And yes. All right. So let me continue with my notes on the testimony. Um she talks about that Matt got mad at her and said that Katie needs to stay and work, because I think she asked Matt if Kate could come to Utah, and he was like, "No, that Katie needed to stay and work." And so they brought up the fact that he wasn't working at the time. They were living in a home that I think he inherited or something. I don't know. They talked about she ate sushi with Kevin that day, but there was never talk of a plan. There was no plan. They never talked about a plan. There was no plan, supposedly. It seems like there was a plan. I'm sorry. I didn't believe her as she was talking, but it is what it is. Her own attorney didn't seem like he knew if she was just making stuff up. Because at one point, her lawyer, because she answered something, and he was like, for he seemed confused. Her own lawyer seemed confused by one of her answers, because she Googled a certain cemetery, and her lawyer was like, "Oh, so why were you Googling that cemetery? Like, was it about your friend that had died?" And she's like, "No, I was looking for a place to take the kids to to look." Like there was, I guess, this special plaque of the tops of mountains and an overlook at this cemetery where you can look out at, like, there's supposedly like her own lawyer seemed to be like, "What? You were gonna take the kids to this nice cemetery that has this overlook?" Like her answers and her lawyer just kept getting more and more upset with her. It was it w I get why somebody said it was cringe. It was very difficult. Oh, and she gave very, very long answers. Her lawyer would cut her off at times, and there were times where she was clearly answering the question she wanted to answer because her lawyer would be like, "Do you remember the question?" And eventually, I think the state started to object because she was giving narrative responses. Like, she's just and her lawyer has to be like, "You have to let me ask you the question. Like, you gotta let me answer the question." And on cross-examination, the judge makes her answer yes or no. So we get there on cross-examination. We did not get there on direct. On direct, I don't think it wasn't a historical cemetery. It was just a cemetery that I guess has a really nice overlook and a plaque of mountains. It was very her lawyer seemed confused. I don't think they had discussed that specific question, but because he seemed to be like, "Really?" And her lawyer has a dark sense of humor. I think he might laugh when he's uncomfortable because there was a time during his closing where he's talking about the defendant's death or like or sorry, the victims. He's talking about the victim's death and he kind of laughed a little, but I don't think he meant to. Like I think he just this was a sinking ship and he was trying to do his job. But I that laughter at the moment he laughed, it felt inappropriate to me. So it was a lot. So all right. Um yeah, so that's where she talks about the lookout point with the view of the mountains. Okay. Uh and so um they talk about that Kevin had a history of depression and possibly some type of attempt in the past. And yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they get into the fact that when Kevin broke up with his fiance, he was served with protective orders papers because he wouldn't stop calling and texting his ex. And, but she thought he was doing better. Mm. And then all of a sudden so her lawyer was kind of bouncing around a little bit. So I could get why she was kind of confused sometimes because we go from talking about Kevin to her lawyer ask her about where she was in the kitchen when the incident happened. And so like there wasn't a smooth transition to that if in my mind as I'm watching. But yeah. So she starts talking about she didn't see or hear Matt when he came in. Uh And she wanted to talk more, and her lawyer cut her off. That Matt asked, "Where is Kate?" And, Tracy says she was expecting Kate to answer the door when it seems like the plan was for Kate to never come downstairs. Kate and the kids to stay upstairs. Yeah, so he's gonna come around. I think she's her story didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. So then she talks about I think she asked her lawyer, "May I talk?" And and her lawyer asked, "Do you remember the question?" Oh, I can't with these people. I can't. It was so bad. This was probably one of the worst direct examinations I've seen because her lawyer is visibly frustrated with her. And she's probably frustrated because she's just trying to answer the questions, but it was a lot. So then I talk about Kevin shooting Matt. Katie started crying when Tracy went upstairs, and that Katie was the one that told her to call 911. She freezes. So the reason why there are those 8 minutes between when they believe Matt was shot and when they called 911, those 8 minutes, she was in a freeze response, ma'am. This and she's gonna say that the knife was already planted in his hand when she came from the kitchen and saw him there. Her story, it didn't make any sense, and when it doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. The jurors are still deliberating, and I think it's been about 4 hours, I could be wrong. Recovery Addict has a, um Recovery Addict has a, uh he has a tracker, like, he has a thing with the time going right now. It was so much. So her lawyer was snarky with all the witnesses. I did not expect him to be snarky with his client. Because it almost seemed like he didn't believe her at times. It seemed like she was trying, because they've described her as this master manipulator that wants control, and she won't even let her lawyer control the direct examination, and the lawyer is making it clear that he's trying to demand the control. Like, so that's where I wish he had just told her, like, "Hey, I'm gonna kinda try to stop you sometimes, but if you don't like it can make your case worse if you just keep talking. And so please be prepared. I might interrupt you at times." So the way that Mr. Osake, I'm bad with names, but from the Hawaii trial, the defense attorney, he would cut his client off by saying, "Okay." Like he would cut his client off, and more of a like, "Okay, thanks for that." Like he would just kind of, it was kind of sneaky. Like he would just kind of cut him off. And then he would ask his question if he thought his client was going a little too far. This was clear. Like, do you remember the question? Like, what are you talking about right now? He was all of us. Yes, Mr. Like, her lawyer, I've never seen a lawyer get up and say and do all the things I would say and do, which is why I'm not a lawyer. Like, it didn't seem like, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but it didn't seem right. Like, should he have let his frustrations be like that known to everybody? And so I know Recovery Addict talked about this could have been a sign that their attorney client relationship, that it might not, like, there might have been some tension in their relationship, but it was a lot. And once again, it made me think he didn't want her on the stand. This was very much her decision to get up there and be on the stand. He was argumentative with his client. Like, I've never seen that before to that level. Like, it was, you could feel it. You could feel it. So, oh, it was a lot. And so she goes on to talk about, she was in this freeze response, and she tries to explain away searching for self-defense, calling the attorney. She tries to explain away, oh, she mentions, or somebody mentions, that Kevin was, I think she mentioned it, that Kevin was convicted of murder, and that phone call between Kevin and Tara Lynn was when he was incarcerated. And she wants to give her opinion on what that conversation was really about. And the judge allowed it. The judge allowed her to just be like, "Oh, it must have been because Kevin wanted his siblings to be on his side, so that's why he said those things." Like, he was trying to diffuse, like, he didn't wanna take responsibility for what he did, so he was trying to put it off on me. When it's like, "Oh, ma'am." And so I wonder if the jury is gonna go back and listen to the recorded phone call with Matt's mom, because she gives completely different details. She, like, they try to talk about who performs CPR. Nobody performs CPR. On the stand, she tries to say that she tried to check Matt's pulse with the hand that was holding the knife. And normally, when you check someone's pulse, you normally move, like, if they're like, you would normally move something. And so she tries to say that, and that's probably not true. Like, it's just, they weren't trying to check his pulse. I don't think they tried to check any of those things. It was just, it was the defense lawyer understood better than anyone else why she had been divorced 3 times. I thought they said 4. Or is she still currently married? It seemed like there might have been a 4th divorce. I don't know. Um I don't think her testimony helped. It might have confused somebody on the jury. So somebody might believe in their heart that a good grandparent, a good mother, a good person wouldn't do these things. And so there might be somebody on the jury that they need some convincing or something. I don't know. The jury could also just be watching all the videos, listening to the phone calls. The jury has a bunch of messages to go through. The jury may also just be looking at all the evidence. It's my understanding that the jury deliberated for 7 hours for Kevin. That's what Tara Lynn put in the chat when I was in the chat over on the other channel the other day. She mentioned that Kevin's jury, and he's the one that he had the pew pew, but they had to rule, was it self defense or was it not self defense? And he was ultimately convicted of murder. And so, yeah. All right. And so cross examination. Whoo. They clarified a few details. She has 7 children. She is very involved in her children's lives. And then the state tried to start poking holes in her story. She says that she tried to distance herself from the conflict, but she seemed like she was all up in the conflict. So the state brings up the fact that when Tara Lynn sent her the message that Kate was going to send to Matt, that Tracey said no edits needed, something to that effect. She said something like that. She pretty much approved that, okay, that message is good to go. And then Tara Lynn sent it to Kate and Kate sent it to Matt. Like, it's just, this family's way, way too involved in everybody's stuff. She tried to say that she had never seen the knife. And then we all start wondering what happened to her friend. Because the state seemed to insinuate that the friend died while she was there visiting and while she was poking around into things. And so we don't know how the friend died, but the state seemed to leave it open in the jury's mind about what happened to that friend in California. I have questions. Where are, from the Corey Richins case, where are the one friend's pants, Bryce? Where are Bryce's pants? From this case, I need to know what happened to that friend from California, because her death was likely ruled natural. I don't know that there are any open investigations, but the state seemed to have like a question mark ... on what happened and when she was visiting that friend in California. All right. And so she said she had the nerve to say that she didn't want Kate to get a divorce, that it was Kate's decision. Like, it was up to Kate. It was Kate's decision. I'm laughing a little because it very much seemed like she hated Matt. Kate hated Matt and Tracey hated Matt. And it seemed like they had dehumanized him. And that's what the state said in their closing. They had desensitized themselves to the idea of violence towards him. This was like a running joke. They had even called him Olaf, and the state. So I don't remember anybody else mentioning that Olaf is like a very talkative, overly friendly, kind of annoying. So Olaf is the kind of annoying person in the cartoon Frozen. And so them calling him Olaf, that was likely like a dig and a diss. And because of the brother's testimony. So I did not watch the entire trial, but I did see where the brother on Monday, he talked about that Matt could talk a lot. And that, or maybe it was some of the sisters that probably said that too, that Matt was just very, very talkative. And that's likely where that Olaf name came from. Question: do you think they should also charge the sister? So I don't know that she was involved with the final plan. So it seems like Tara Lynn was involved, because even Kevin and his call, because if she was involved and she knew, I don't think Kevin would have said what he said to Tara Lynn. So it seems like the only people that knew about the plan was Kate, Tracey, and Kevin. I do think they kept it to those people, because I think Tara Lynn would have spoke up and been like, y'all are nuts. Like, no, like this is ridiculous. That's how I personally feel. I don't know that to be true. Olaf is so sweet. He's a cute little snowman. I do not. So I often have a lot of Disney stuff Y'all know I love me some Disney. I have my Stitch, so it's cold in Virginia. We did not turn our heat on, and so I am warm in this Stitch hoodie. I love Disney stuff, and um, uh, it and they use that code word to talk about him when he wasn't around. Remember in the Adelson case, there was also a code word that was used. And so sometimes when you start, people can end up on this pathway to violence sometimes. And I think joking about harming him, and then they made a plan to harm him, and all those ways that they kind of desensitized themselves and kind of dehumanized him and made him the villain in their story. Now, once again, I think Kate and Matt could have used some parenting supports. Kate and Matt likely needed to get sober because she's smoking all the time. I don't know how she's parenting. It sounds like he might have had an issue with alcohol, and so but that doesn't mean to unalive somebody because of that. And so that's where I would have wanted both of them to get some type of help and support. Okay. Oy, and so I'm getting to the end of cross-examination. The state redirected her to just say yes or no to questions. And even the judge at one point kind of had to be like, just yes or no. And they did play the phone call between Matt and Kate, where he was just talking about he was so happy to see his family, to see his kids. He was traveling to Utah, and it was this lovey dovey, positive conversation. Tracy tried to be like she wasn't aware that Kate was having those types of conversations with him, that they wanted Kate to keep Matt calm, but that she wasn't aware of how lovey-dovey the conversations were. I don't know if that's true. I don't believe it was true because it seems like when people are on the phone, Tracy's within earshot. When messages are happening, it's in the group chat where everybody knows. Like, I don't know that there were clear boundaries. It seems like Tracy would have known. Just my general thoughts. I don't know that to be true, but those are my thoughts. And when she was asked, because she tried to delete some things from her phone, and she said that she just deletes things randomly. You just randomly delete the suspicious things that seem to align with like this possibly being a crime. You just randomly delete those things. But yeah, her answer was she just randomly deleted some stuff. Her lawyer came back and asked her questions. They went back and forth. I didn't write any notes from any of that part. It wasn't, I didn't get anything from it. So, with closing arguments, the state, I think, did a very strong closing argument. They said the question here isn't whether this is murder, it's whether Tracey Grist is tied to that crime. If she solicits, Kevin Kevin did the pew pew, um, she's still a murder. Like that's the language that the state used. They talked about the fact that she was inspired by true crime. And as she put it, sometimes you have to paint outside the lines. So when you testify, the state is going to use your words against you. And so she did. Eh, Okay. So then the state goes on to say that Matt had threatened to contact the police and had threatened to not allow Tracy back into the home, which would have limited her contact with her grandchildren and with her daughter. And that's what the state believes put her on this path of how do we get rid of Matt. Kate was not able to carry out this by herself. And so that's where the state believes that. So they said if she solicited, requested, demanded, or commanded this, she is guilty. So they pulled up the jury instructions, and that's one of the questions. If she solicited it, if she requested it, demanded it, or commanded it, then she's guilty. That's when the state goes on to talk about the jokes about killing him can desensitize the family to violence and dehumanize Matt. I'm gonna take a quick drink. She Googled when was Donna Adelson arrested. Um, they talked about the fact that, and they didn't even bring up because she was looking at ports, she was looking at all types of things. Okay. They talked about Tracy is in control. She deceived some of her own children without them knowing what they were doing. And so I don't think the state thought, because I think if they thought Rachel or anybody else was involved, I think they would have arrested and charged them. It does seem like they felt Tracy was the main person, and then Matt and sorry, Kevin. Sorry, the victim is Matt, and then Kevin and Kate. That's what I think the state thought. But so then the defense gets up, and that's where the defense gets to do what the defense does. And he talked about in his family, they don't really need a peacekeeper. I don't know. So defense attorneys sometimes start drawing on their own experience and their own families and how they might have to say things in a soft way to not upset some family members. I don't know. Like he tried to just kind of normalize some things, but this family, I think, was way beyond a typical family dynamic. The family dynamic seems toxic, incredibly enmeshed, and very problematic, in my opinion. The defense says that Kevin is the one that did this. He was on the white nose powder. He, I don't know how he took it, but I can't. There's some words YouTube doesn't like. They also talked about that. I guess they tried to minimize that there could have been a better plan. The defense attorney was like, if this was planned, this was a bad plan. her attorney, her attorney, I was done. Her attorney was like, if this was a plan, if this was the plan, this was a bad plan. I agree, sir. I agree. I think that really was a bad plan. So I think Rachel's emotion was honest and real, and it might have been being upset that her mom put her in that position. So her mom had her do things that could make her look kind of guilty. So I don't know what the tears were about, but the tears could have been about the role her mother put her in. It could have been frustration with the state. I don't know what the tears were about. This is probably her first time seeing her mom in a very long time. And because I'd be pissed as hell if somebody else, let's say they had me drive them somewhere, but I didn't know they had done a crime. And now people are looking at me, but I didn't know. I'd be mad. And I would have to be investigated to see, like, did you know where my whole phone would have to be, they'd have to get all evidence and all that stuff. I'd be mad. And so those are just my thoughts. I don't know. She hasn't talked about what was going on with her, and I don't know if she'll come forward and talk. her, I couldn't believe he was like, if this was the plan, this was a bad plan. I agree, sir. Your client did not crime well. This was a very, very bad crime with two very talkative people, because Tara Lynn and Kevin are out here having full conversations about mom being guilty on a recorded line. And we know it's a recorded line, and we know mom's trial hasn't happened yet. It's like this is don't do crimes. The minute Kate could get a better deal, Kate's out here, she's making a deal. Cuz I don't think Kate would have done it. I don't think she would have, cuz once again, in that wet tortilla video, she is chopping with a knife angrily. She is chop, 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 chop. She is mad. They are cursing and yelling at each other. And she never once threatened him with that knife. But she knew she was recording, so she would probably never do anything that would get herself in trouble. So to me, Kate, she protects herself first and foremost. The defense also brought up the fact that Kate lied on the stand and that 90% of what Kate said was a lie. And Kate probably did fudge a few things, but when the defense asked her, did you love Matt? She probably didn't. I don't know that she ever really loved him. I don't know that she can love anybody other than herself. She needs to work on herself and on her own issues because she did this to her children's father. She did this like she's forever. And her role in this has taken her out of her children's lives for the rest of their lives. And so like I don't know that she thought about anybody else. I'm just being honest. She seemed incredibly self-centered and incredibly focused on herself. Um, they got married, but I don't know that she loved him. She cheated on him a whole lot based on Kathy. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. I don't know. So I thought she was telling the truth there when she was kind of slow to answer. Did you love him? I don't I don't know that she did. Did she? She might have wanted to get married. She might have wanted to have kids with him. I don't know that she loved him. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Because if that love, hate me. I don't want that kind of love. Nope. And also in her own mind, she might have been thinking, how could you do this? Of all the things she's about to testify to, how could you do this to somebody that you say you loved? Right. So that also might have been why she was close to admit or like slow to admit whether she loved him or not. And I don't know that she did. I don't know that she did. Once again, if it's love, no thanks. The defense also talked about, and so the defense I think played a portion of the interrogation video. Uh and I just noticed she didn't have on shoes. It's fine. There wasn't time to grab shoes. Um She mentioned that she was sitting on the counter, and a lot of people in the comments were like, "What grandma sits on the counter?" Because even in her story, she didn't say that she was sitting on the counter. I thought she was sitting at like the stool. So she might try to go back and say, "I wasn't sitting on the counter, I was sitting at the counter." But in the video, she says that she was sitting on the counter. Do, 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 do. They also talked about that she sent the lawyer to talk with Ken while they were at the police precinct, but he's the one that that did the shooting, and so, like, he's the one that definitely needs the lawyer first. And so, I don't know that that means that she was innocent and that she wasn't involved. The lawyer did call her the most honest person. I don't know, like the lawyer did say that he thought she was honest and that he thought she would be forthright. I don't know. Sure. Um uh the lawyer called it bad staging. Her lawyer, the defense lawyer, called it bad staging, said it was a bad plan. And then he starts going into reasonable doubt. And yeah. And the defense lawyer also said that Kevin pew-pewed an unarmed man. But I think that's the defense. I think trying to make it sound like Kevin's the one that staged it and it was all Kevin and she had no clue and she didn't know, but I don't think that's how this family works. I don't think that's how this family works. And so there is a description of this case down in the I do have a description of this case, but yes, yes, yes. And my prior video covered some of the other people's testimony a little bit more. Kathy from Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo, she has great overviews of this case. Yeah, like she was up on the counter. I just it didn't make any sense. Her lawyer, to me, was all over the place. Let me know if y'all have any last minute questions. Paul from Reporting Live from My Sofa, I know he's going to be going live and talking about his thoughts. I know Recovery Addict is probably still live. I don't know if he's still doing Verdict Watch, but he might. I have about 10 more minutes before I need to go feed kiddo. uh, Pour me some water. Her lawyer did the best he could with what he had. I thought there were times that with witnesses, he asked some like he tried to create some doubt. He asked decent questions, but Yeah. And so it looks like RA is still alive and we all love Paul. Yes, yes, yes. And so, I will have one of those playing in my ear. So I have so I bought these for my kid and then I like them and I end up using them. Um, but yeah, so I'll be listening to one of them. Uh, just be calm. The jury, I think, has a lot of information. This is the first time they're able to talk about things. This is the first time that they're able to really hash things out. There might be some people that might want to think on it. It's my understanding that the judge told them to prepare to have long nights. So I think they can deliberate until like 8, I don't know, like they can deliberate late, and if they're not able to come to something today, then they'll be back tomorrow. My thoughts on the verdict, I think she'll be found guilty. I think there's a ton of evidence. Um, the knife came from, so the state called it her knife. Like, it came from her friend's house, and I think she's the one that went down, or she told Tara Lynn to pick some stuff up at the house. I don't think there's a way that she wasn't involved. So I would personally like a guilty verdict. They also have some child endangerment charges. And so the jury might have to talk through what evidence was presented. But there was this whole crime that was supposedly planned and plotted with children sleeping upstairs. And so she does have those child charges too. And so we'll see. Okay, so not that late in Utah. Perfect. So I don't know. I think the judge told them to prepare to go late. I don't know how late. So there will probably be a time when the judge lets them go for the evening, but I think he told them to prepare to go past 5. That's what I heard. I could be totally wrong. Totally wrong. Yay! Yeah. Yeah, the gun, the knife, the air tag, she was tracking it too. And the state, I think, did a really good job making her seem like she was the mastermind. She was the mama Donna, the person that she idolized, Donna Adelson, who was convicted of this exact same crime. So, yeah. I think she'll be convicted. Who would be worse? They both talk a lot. They both want to be the victim. Um, I think I'd be more scared of Tracy. Who would you be more scared of, Tracy or Donna? I personally would be more scared of Tracy. Mm, Donna just whines a lot, and she wouldn't do it herself. Like, she wouldn't I don't think she would do anything herself. She would try to be like a ringleader and have other people do things, I think. These are just my general thoughts. I'm just saying off the top of my head. But yeah. Yeah, Googling the Adelson family. She started with Wendy, I think. I think she started Googling Wendy. I'm glad. Thank you, for the $2. Thank you for watching. I think I'm gonna have my student loans, paid off this by May. So I'm definitely gonna have them paid off by May. I have been paying back my student loans since 2010, 2009, 2010, something like that. Whatever 6 months after August of 20, yeah, so it would have been 2010. I've been paying back my student loans. I met with a senior in high school that wants to become a forensic psychologist. That's one of the things that they're considering. And they were like, anything that you regret with school. And I was just like, it's expensive. They asked, what's your least favorite part of your job? My least favorite part is doing paperwork. And the person just asked really great questions. We had a really great time. Yeah, I'd be more concerned with Tracy. I would be more concerned with Tracy. Somebody said Donna could use her money. I think Kathy calls it Zuzus and Wham Whams. And Tanika from Tanika's 2 Cents, she found a Zuzu's store. And so we just need to find Wham Whams. But yeah. So she said that she was just interested in true crime. I kind of feel like she idolized Donna a little bit, maybe looked up like this is, and maybe she tried to crime better, but did way worse. Donna was free a lot longer. Like it didn't take them long to get to there were some degrees of separation. Like they had to do a whole bunch of stuff to catch Donna. And it didn't take long to figure out what was going on here. They did not call Kevin to testify, and they probably didn't call him because he didn't get a deal, and it could have made things worse. I don't know that his testimony would have been helpful, but I did notice that they did not call him. If he had a and I don't think they would have offered him any type of deal because he's the one that did mm, the real part of the Hey, Tanika. On lookout for wham whams. I loved your Zuzu's post. Yes, it was such a bad plan. Even her lawyer said that. And her lawyer in the closing was like, who would plan who would do a plan this bad? I wonder how she felt hearing that. Your lawyer just said you're bad at crime. It was so bad. The man was left-handed. They put the knife in the right hand. They also put it backwards. And also if you're pew-pewed in the back, you would drop the knife. Like it was so bad. It was all just so bad. So bad. Ah, okay. So he pled the Oh, they did call him. I missed it. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. Okay, he has appeals. I don't think he's gonna win anything on appeal, but okay. Yes, I'm super excited. It was almost $200,000 of student loans, and I did not get any type of loan forgiveness. I will tell y'all, my mom is helping me with my last. I have about a little over $3,000 left, and my mom has kindly offered to pay off the rest. She has said that she's made a few other payments. I don't remember that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I have a little bit of like trauma with all of those loans. And so, yes. Uh, yes, it was in the wrong hand. It should have been, so he was left-handed and they put the knife in his right hand. Despite the fact that if you're pew-pewed in the back, you're not gonna hold on to the knife. You're just not. You're gonna drop it. So yes, Mama Johnny. And I will look because I'm watching the Corey Richins case. And if they if she does have the financial crimes trial, Mama and I will stream parts of that together. So we will definitely collaborate for that one. I watched closing arguments with Recovery Addict. People can watch them different places. I watch them over on Recovery Addict. There are a lot of different people streaming this case. If I'm on court TV or law and crime, I close the chat. The chat can be a lot. The chat can be a lot. All right. I'm so glad that we were able to chat. We will follow up. So I will probably do a short once the verdict does come out. I will probably post a short. I hope that you all love and hug your family. Please take breaks from true crime as needed. We have had there have been a lot of instances of domestic violence. There was recently the case in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I am just watching those things. I might do a follow up video down the road, just talking in general about um, how control, power, how those things can become deadly, and just tips for if people are in difficult situations, how they can try to leave safely, and how our laws need to change. I might reach out to a divorce or family court attorney to try to see if I could interview them, because I would really love an attorney's perspective. Because those cases are difficult, and there are some attorneys that specialize in working with unsafe situations and difficult cases. And so I love to put things out that are helpful. I won't talk about cases just for the sake of just sharing it. I only talk about it if we can grow and learn from it. That's why I think on Monday I posted the secondary trauma. So I've had to not scroll over on certain forms of social media too much because I'm just seeing just like painful thing after painful thing after painful thing. And it was getting to the point where it was just, it was weighing heavy. And so just making sure that you're taking care of your mental health as you watch. Okay. Um, so please take a break. So I personally have not so the Tanner trial will start back up tomorrow. I tune in and out of that case. I do not listen to the gory details. I want to remember Athena as that beautiful, bright 7-year-old girl that should still be here. So there are some trials that I don't go deep in. With the Tanner Horner case, I will cover the mental health testimony. So you all have liked the testimony recaps versus like reacting to testimony. So depending on how that testimony goes, I might either find some clips that I want to share, or I might just react with the overview and then share my additional information. And so please, I'm a licensed psychologist, and there are days of that trial that I will not watch. I will not watch the video from inside the van. I will not watch certain things because my brain can't unsee it. There is one particular true crime case. It was Philando Castile. That was where I learned firsthand that there are some things I just can't watch. There are certain situations that just touch in a way I just can't. And so there are some videos that I will read what happened, but I do not watch the video because the video, there's some things you just can't unsee. And I had to do a lot of self care. I had to do a lot of work after watching certain things. And then there's some videos that I've never seen because I know it's bad, and hearing about it is enough, and we have to fight for change. And so yeah, it's and what gets me about that one is his daughter. So it's the little girl trying to, I I thought it was calm down her mother. That was the part of that one that I just that little girl. I hope she's doing well as one could be after seeing what she saw. But yeah. And so please take care of yourself. And I will see you all next time. Make sure to check out if you want to go to Recovery Addict, if you want to go to Paul reporting live from my sofa. Those are two streamers that I know are continuing with live verdict watch coverage. I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.